Hey everyone, welcome to my new tutorial. This time I want to show you how to quickly make low poly characters like this and use them in your scenes, how to rig them and pose them and everything. I won't be creating a character mesh from scratch, that would take much longer, so instead I will be using the base meshes I've created before and I've shared them on Gumroad for free, so go ahead now and download them. You can find the link in the description. And there are a lot of these base meshes around. You can find a lot of them, so if you don't like the ones I'm providing, you can use another you find elsewhere. It's pretty easy to find, just search the words low poly base mesh and it should give you a lot of results. So when you're downloaded and ready, we can move on. These base meshes are made in a similar way that I make all of my characters, no matter if they're low poly or refined smooth cartoon characters that I make sometimes. And I have a new course out now. It was in the early access for a longer time, and now this week the early access ends, so it's a good time to get it. You can find the link in the description too. Go check it out if you're interested. My courses are designed to take you from zero to hero in the most linear and effective way. And the latest episode is a full female cartoon character modeling with facial rig and everything. It's really detailed and in-depth. It has around 8 hours, the one episode itself. So again, if you're interested in character work, please go check out my course. And if you're new to the channel and you like to see content like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button to get notified when I release something new. And now without further ado, let's jump right in and let's model some low poly characters. So the first thing we need to do here is to get ourselves that low poly base mesh, and I have already my file ready, so I hope you downloaded that humans blend file. And now I'll go file, append, don't choose link, choose append, and now I will search for that humans blend file, click append, and it will open a folder structure. This is basically content of the blend file, and we'll need to go in and click object and choose male character here. If you want to make female character and you want to have some variation in following the tutorial, of course you can do that. And now I'll just click append and we have our low poly base mesh right here. So the next thing I want to do is to select the character and press Alt G to reset its position. And if you tab in, you will see this is mirrored. We have only half of the character and the rest is taken care of by mirror modifier, and we'll leave it at place. This will work great with armature and rigging. This tutorial is mostly about that rigging part, how to take your low poly character and make it move and make some poses, but at the same time I want to give this character some flavor because this is a base mesh, and to create actual character we'll need to give him some, hairstyle, some clothes and stuff like that. With these low poly characters, most of the time a few details are enough to make the character really distinguishable, and this time I want to make a character from Star Wars, the main character Luke Skywalker from the old movies. I really love Star Wars, I love its characters, so it's obvious choice for me to go for a Star Wars character here. What I want to do right now is to create some clothes. Let me tab in and I will need to select some parts of the mesh I want to reuse. That's the most effective way to do this, so I'll press 3 for face select and just select part of the mesh like this, and I will rotate and do the same here, and additionally select some of the faces I've missed. This is what I'm interested in, and I will additionally press Alt Shift click to select this loop as well, and this is the part I'm interested in, maybe this loop as well, so Alt Shift click there, and now press Shift D, right click to release it on the same position, and now press P and enter to separate the selection. So now we have that clothes in a separate object, and what we can do right now is to tab in and make it a little bit larger. So I'll press A to select all, and I like to use Alt S to scale this because it will scale along normals like that and basically copy the shape that we had before in place. And now I want to get rid of some of these details like the spine ridge here. We don't need to reflect that in clothes, and maybe move this a little bit lower by pressing G twice and sliding these verts, and I will do same here. So press G twice and slide these vertices, so this will be some kind of belt area. If you want to slide the other way, you can hold Alt after pressing G twice, and after seeing this yellow line, it will enable the slide outside. Okay, something like this. And now let me extrude this a little bit more and scale on X. Now it looks a little bit like a skirt, but after creating a belt and pants, it will make more sense. So let's do it like this. Okay, and here I want to close this up a little bit, so I'll press F to close it up and I to inset. So we have some additional mesh going on there, and we can delete this face. We don't really need that. I just wanted to create this area right here like that. And now I want to select this loop right here by alt clicking it, and now press Ctrl B to create the bevel there. And let's alt click this loop and scale it up. Okay, just like that. Let's select this vertex right here. So I'm switching through the selecting modes by pressing 1, 2, and 3. I'll go for vertex select this one here, press G twice and slide it down. But before I do, I want to enable auto merge, so it merges there and we get rid of it. Okay, let's make this V shape a little bit larger like this. And now what we can do is to select this loop right here and press E to extrude it down. Now let's look from the side, and I'll hold Z to enable X-ray, or you can click here to enable that mode. And let's scale this down and move it back a tiny bit so it's more uniform. And this is just to make it look like there's actually some volume to those clothes, like they're not only planar objects. And we can push this outside a little bit. Okay, something like this. And now we can reuse yet another geometry from this one and create a belt. Let's select the belt area by alt clicking the loop, press Shift D, right click to release, and P enter to separate to another object. And right now what we can do is to just press Alt E and extrude along normals like this, and we have ourselves some belt. And now let's take care of the legs, and I won't be creating separate clothes for the legs. I will just modify the legs themselves. So sometimes if you do this and you don't want to mess it up, you can just Shift D, duplicate your character and put it in some separate collection for backup. So let's make it look like these are pants basically. I will probably make this a little bit larger here and here as well. And for the calves part, I want to press Ctrl R, create some more loops, because I think Luke Skywalker has these like linen straps around his legs. So we can kind of suggest that by creating some loops and pressing S and Shift Z to scale only on X and Y axis to create something like this that has some structure, and you can see there's something going on these legs, that these are not legs without pants or something. Let's maybe scale this as well, so we have some more volume there, and we can create some kind of boots. So let me again enable X-ray, and I will additionally select some of these faces. Okay, just like that. And I will press Shift D, P, enter to separate this, select all, press Alt S to make it larger like this. And now I'll just close it up. Okay, this looks much better, and this character already looks a little bit more clothed. If you want to add some more details to those pants, you can always like create these little wrinkles and stuff like that. That should make it even more pronounced that these are pants. And this doesn't look like a Luke Skywalker so far, and we need hairstyle to suggest that. So let's tab into the body object, and again I will reuse some of this geometry. I will select these faces, basically the top half of the head, and I'll press Shift D and separate it once again. And right now I want to apply the mirror modifier because I don't want this to be symmetrical. And I will add some more geometry here, so I'll press Ctrl R to create the loop right here. And now I'll press K to do a cut like this. And after I'm done, I will press Enter to confirm and just delete these faces. And I will do the same here like this. So we'll have some of that 70s hairstyle, and now I want to enable X symmetry and modify this a little bit. So first of all, I want to select this loop right here and extrude it down like this. Press S to scale. Okay, now let's look from the side by pressing 3 on a numpad, and I want to move these things around here just a tiny bit. And now let's scale this up. Okay, and do a little cut here. This should work. Okay, and now let's press A to select all, Alt E and extrude along normals. And this should give us that 70s look. And I think this is starting to look more and more like Luke Skywalker, and maybe we can slide this up to join it and then move it even higher up. So the hairstyle is even stronger there. Okay, I like it. And now it's time for some facial features, and you can see these are very simple on the low poly character, but you can actually do some simple adjustments to make the facial features. For example, I think Luke Skywalker had like a split chin, so you can do stuff like this to actually make it a little bit more similar. And I think he had a little bit more rounded face here. So if you widen this up, and you can of course move vertices like this to make changes in the eyes. If you zoom out, you will actually see the difference, what happens when you start to move these things around. You can basically create expressions by just moving one vertex here. I think this looks more like it, and I'm really satisfied with the result. Maybe I will move this a little bit higher up, and now we have ourselves low poly Luke Skywalker character. Now before we create the rig, it's good to make sure that the model is fit for that, there are no issues there. And the main issue when rigging something, when parenting something to armature with automatic weights, is our normals that can really mess up your rig. So let's just make sure our normals are okay, and the best way to do that is just to select all, tab in into the edit mode, select all and press Shift N. That's the command to recalculate normals, and to check them you just expand this overlays panel and enable normals, and we can see them all pointing out, so this should all work fine. Let me close that. And one last thing we can do is to make sure we have no double geometry, so I'll press M and choose by distance, that will merge by distance, and we see the message that Blender removed 0 vertices, so we're good to go. So our model is ready, and now we'll need to create some rig. To actually do this, you'll need activate add-on Rigify. You just go into the preferences section, add-ons, search for Rigify, check the check mark, no need to download, it's right within the Blender. So enable Rigify and it will add some more options. So for example, if you press Shift A and go to the armature, after enabling that add-on, you should see these Mederics, and that's what I want to use. So let me click the human Mederic, and let me look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, and let's enable that X-ray, and I will press S to scale this up so we match the shoulder height of the character. And immediately, so I don't forget, I'll press Ctrl A and apply scale. This is very important too, that the armature is with applied scale. And now you can see this is a rig with full facial features. We won't be doing that, and we won't be needing that, so let's tab in. And what I want to do right now is to drag a selection right here, and don't forget ears, and I'll press X and delete these bones. And there's one more bone right here. If you have the X-ray enabled, you should see it, and this is the face bone. We need to get rid of that one as well, so let's delete it. And this is the rig we'll be working with. And the next thing I want to get rid of is the right side of the armature, so let's select these bones. Don't forget collarbones, breastbone, and this pelvis bone, and don't select anything in the middle, and press X and delete these bones. We'll make this symmetrical later. And since we are using these like half mitten hands, we won't be using 5 fingers as well. and it should be okay to just delete them from the armature. So let's drag a selection like this and delete these bones, so only these 3 remain. Right now we need to position this, but before we do, this A pose is a little bit wrong. The hands are too low and that might cause problem. The hand might actually deform a little bit of this area here, so to make it a little bit easier, but that's really easy to fix. Let's just select the body mesh and the clothes mesh here as well and tab in so we can edit them at once. And now select this part, be careful not to select anything here, and we can just press shift right click to move the cursor here, hold period on a keyboard to switch to 3D cursor and move it like this. Now we'll press Ctrl plus to expand that selection, move this cursor a little bit higher up and move it like this, and press G and move it higher up. We don't need to go all the way where the armature is, we'll accommodate that later. And now I'll press Ctrl plus once again, but deselect these vertices here and shift right click to move the cursor more near the shoulder like that. Okay, and now what we can do is move these a little bit higher and here as well. Okay, that should do the trick. We have now much better A pose. Let's move that armature. I will select it here and tab in. First of all, we want to move these joints in their place. Now let's hold period and switch pivot point back to median. And let's move this around. We have a nice match, basically. There's not a lot we need to do here, but some rotation and placements are certainly necessary to move this in place like this. Okay. Now let's move this one here. Okay. And here as well, maybe make it a little bit smaller. That should work. Okay, so that's the hand. Now let's check the other bones. I think the collarbone needs to go higher here and a little bit more towards the front. The chest bone, I really suggest to make it larger so it takes control of this area here, so you're not deforming while moving the hand. And here as well, move the pelvis bone all the way towards the belt. Now let's move this to knee area and make this bottom bone wider so it matches the foot width. And now let's move this towards the front. Maybe this is too far. And let's move these bones just a tiny bit. I think spine is fine. Maybe the bottom of the spine needs to go more on the level with the legs. But this should work fine. If you decide to move this joint, you can see this is disconnected, so anytime you move something and you see the joints are overlapping, move them together or it can break. This is the Method armature. Now let's select all by pressing A in the edit mode of the armature. Go to the armature options and click Symmetrize. This will fill out the bones for you, and you can see they have proper names. They have the L and R suffixes correctly. So now we can tab out, go to the armature tab here, and here you should see Rigify button section. After enabling the Rigify add-on and click Generate Rig, and that will create this control rig for you. And right now you can just get rid of that meta rig. I will just press H to hide it, and we are ready to go basically. So let's select the body, shift click the armature and press Ctrl P and choose Armature Deform with automatic weights. basically this should create a rig for you. So now if you go to the pose mode, you can see all these controls and you can move your character around. You can move the hand as well. And I think even fingers should work just fine by scaling these controls and rotating them. I really love Rigify, how simple it makes to rig the character and make it posable. Of course, this is a huge topic. There are a lot of caveats. There are a lot of issues you can run into. Sometimes it can get really tedious when you need to repaint your weights or you have some difficult objects. But at the high level like this, when you need to just pose some low poly character, some simple character, it works like a charm and it can save you a lot of time and a lot of work. And now what we need to do is to go back to the object mode and just add the other objects to the armature as well. So let's select the clothes here, shift click the armature, Ctrl P and automatic weights. You can see it snaps immediately to our object. And now what we can do is exit the pose mode and actually add these other objects to our armature. And I want to finish with this object right here because I think it needs a little bit more geometry here to be deformed. And I want to close this up and press I to inset with B for enable boundary and delete faces. So we actually have some suggested volume there. If you look from angles like this, it actually looks that it has some thickness. And now I want to shift click the armature, press Ctrl P and add it with automatic weights. You can see it's working just fine. There are some overlaps, so you can always basically just change the mesh a little bit if you want, or you can go inside and repaint your weights, but sometimes easy fix like this is enough. And now I will add the boots as well, and you can see it snapped to our armature perfectly. Now let's do the belt and the hair as well. And you can see we applied mirror modifier on the hair. So this is one object that's added to the armature. For the rest of those, these are still mirrored, and the weights were painted basically only for one side, but these vertex groups are mirrored as well and are mirrored with appropriate suffix, so it just works with armature, no problem. So this is basically rigged low poly character for you. Now the rest, and you can do a lot of stuff with this. There are a lot of controls. I really encourage you to try that. You can really play with this character and make it move a lot of different ways. You know, move the head around, tilt the torso, and there are inverse kinematics prepared, so you can just move these simple controls and you can see how the leg moves. It deforms at the knee area. You even have these little controls that you can rotate, so I'll press R, X and rotate this. You will see how the leg works. That's the Rigify character, Rigify low poly character, and again the only thing you need is some base mesh if you don't know how to model the simple body shape like this. And you can find a lot of these base meshes, or you can use mine I've provided here. Then, you know, create some clothes, hairstyle, accessories like this, and then proceed with Rigify add-on, and in just a few minutes you have a fully rigged low poly character. Now I want to show you another thing. I want to add a lightsaber for this character. I will reset the cursor to world origin and I will add cylinder. This will be really simple. I don't want to go into modeling the lightsaber too much. I just want to show you how you can add accessories to your characters. So I'll press RX and make this smaller and scale it on Y-axis. Let me move it to the side a little bit, and let's maybe make it at least a little bit more structured. So Alt E and extrude along normals like this. And now the blade. Okay, that should work. And now let's position this with the character a little bit better. And it's too large, of course, so let's make it smaller like this. Now apply the scale and place it with the hand like this. Now there are multiple things you can do. You can parent this to the armature and just paint the weight and just set the vertex group for the hand bone only, or you can parent directly to the bones. That's what I like to do for accessories like this. So with the lightsaber selected, shift click the armature, go into the pose mode. This is a little unintuitive, but it works. And now select this hand bone right here. You'll press Ctrl P for parenting again, but you can see now in the pose mode there are new options and you can parent this to bone directly. And now what that does, when you try to move this bone, it moves your object, it rotates your object, it's parented just like to any other object. So this works great. And let me now just add some materials to this character, create a little scene, add some glowing material to the lightsaber. I will probably set this up in Eevee and, you know, have some final scene to show you how this can be set up. So I'll do that right now and see you on the other side. So that's the low poly character for you, and you can see how easy it can be if you have a base mesh ready to quickly remake it into some character. I would like to see your creations, so whether you create Skywalker here or something else, definitely if you post it somewhere, mention me in the description. I would love to see your creation, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave that like. It really helps the channel, and additionally let me know in the comments what you enjoyed the most and what would you like to see next maybe. And again, if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see content like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.